Greetings and salutations, Geo Nerds. Well, today we're at the Indooroopilly mine. Oh, we're in the city. We're just going to go in, under the Story Bridge because we can. And we're just going to duck between these buildings, because we can. And there's a church. Look out. Don't get too much pretentiousness on our virtual drone here. Oh, we're off. So today we're heading out to Indooroopilly. Not too far from the city, of course. Western Freeway there, obviously, and we're going over. You'll see Indooroopilly shopping town soon. That's an obvious thing. And this mine was on Finney's Hill, which is this hill here. And a lot of people think it was an old gold mine. It's not. It's in many cases reported as a silver mine, which it is also not. It was a lead mine. It got silver because silver, lead, zinc, they all travel together. So what we'll do is we'll have a good look at this mine. I'm just going to zoom back here so you can see where it is in relationship to the city. Don't get too carried away. I've got some maps coming up, some old maps and some new maps, and believe me, you'll know where it is when we're finished. Well, here we've got a couple of blokes. They're new neighbours. One guy's name is Patrick Madden. The other guy's name is Mr. Olsen. And Patrick's helping Mr. Olsen dig a garden. But they hit a rock that looks pretty interesting, and it turns out that it was silver, lead, zinc ore. So they quickly whizzed into town and filed a mining lease on their land and started digging up their yard, which is this photo here. So this went on to be the Finney Hill silver lead mine. Lead silver mine, really. We'll get into that. Now, to put this in context, this bridge was built in 1895, and I was always told that this mine didn't get going because of it ran out of minerals because of World War One. Not the case at all. This mine started in 1918 and it was gone by 1929. This is Finney Hill here. You saw the mine head there a few seconds ago. And it was a fairly industrial place, but you got to remember Indooroopilly was not really the middle of Brisbane. Fair way out. This was the building of the railway bridge quite a few years earlier. And there was a railway line there. There wasn't a road bridge there that came later. There's the railway bridge there. I think that's at about 1910, something like that. You see the Indooroopilly ferry running across there. You still see the footings of that if you go down there. This is from the hill in front of the mine. The mine had only just started here. Big sign there saying keep out. As you see, Indooroopilly is fairly rural, but nevertheless, it's a mine. This is a bit out of context, but this is when they were building the entrance to the Walter Taylor Bridge because they found a gold mine. Oh, no, not that gold mine. They found an ore deposit under the thing, but I'll let Walter Taylor tell you all about it.
Well, g'day. My name's Walter Taylor. I was born in 1872 and I designed this bridge, originally known as the Indooroopilly Toll Bridge, but someone tells me that it's been renamed in my name after my death and I'm very happy with that. It's an awesome bridge.
And he would know. So here's another view up towards the mine. You can see the mine head up on the hill there. It's just over some market gardens at Indooroopilly. Looked like a nice place, actually. It's still quite a nice place. Some guys working with some heavy machinery on the mining site there. You can see the river in the background and Chelmer over their shoulders there. This was a fairly industrialised process. Here's the mine site here. Miners are grubby buggers, aren't they? Look at that. You can see an adit down there and there's just stuff everywhere as usual. Welcome to mining. Here's a picture of the hill before they really dug it up and smashed it up, but you could see they've scratched it all over the place. That's from down on the flats down there in front of that school. This is what miners would look like. No, this is not from this mine. It's just a couple of guys mining lead in the United States, but this is what they would look like had they bothered to take a photograph. And this is what they were mining. This is galena. This is lead sulfide. Quite important, being a sulfide. They couldn't process it here because, it was nowhere to process it. So it contained lead sulfide. There was also copper sulfide and arsenic sulfide. These are all pyrites. And the reason they couldn't process it here was this was Waggle Road. What were you going to transport down here? So I'm just going to bring up a 1936 map. Now this mine being closed for 7 years then of Indooroopilly. aerial photograph, aerial survey, and we just zoom down here. You can still see the mine workings there quite clearly. Indooroopilly is still fairly rural, but there's a few houses being built around there. And you can see the open cut pit there. Obviously you can't see the underground works, but I'll just put a ring around the workings there, because there's spoil dumps, and as usual there's also tailings ponds full of lead sulphide that will probably all still be there, because that's what happens. And that's a little tram line going down to some wharves there. It's really hard to see the wharves even in modern times, where they used to load onto barges and take this out of Queensland. But you can still see the tram line there. You can see the scar of the strand, even 7 years later. They would have ripped it all up and used all the iron somewhere else for the rails and whatever. And so where did they take it? Well, of course, in those days, nowadays we'd ship it to China, wouldn't we, and give them all the value. But no, back then they'd send it down to a place called Cockle Bay. And it's on Port Macquarie down in New South Wales. Here's the Cockle Bay smelter, smelted lead or sulphide ores from all over Australia. And of course it's an industrial, horrible place full of nasty chemicals. And this is what it looked like then. And if you go down there now, you won't find that, because they've knocked it all down. But of course they're spending millions cleaning it up. The northern end of Lake Macquarie is contaminated with lead and contaminated with arsenic and all sorts of yummy stuff like that. So yeah, next time you're eating your Sydney rock oysters, don't eat too many. That's all I can say. Let's have a look at some geology, because this is T-Rocks after all. Let's do it. So this is our good old, you see that purple, our good old Brisbane phyllite right in the middle there. And yeah, it's just, I'm just going to mark where the mine is for you there. There's a nice little mark for where the mine is. And the surface geology, which is what this map is, doesn't tell you everything. Doesn't tell you the three-dimensional structure under the ground. And I've got some other maps that'll show you that. So I've marked that. Now that, by the way, is the gold deposit that they discovered when Walter Taylor was building the bridge. And it's not for no reason. The cinema is called the El Dorado, the City of Gold. And that's not a joke, that's real. So I only just realised that the other day. I only lived here 40 years, 50 years. Anyway, what I've marked up here, this is a little intrusion of the Enoggera granite, a little piece of it that's sitting up there. I'm also going to mark these two things. These are rhyolitic dikes that make it to the surface, so they're there. And I just thought I'd mark down here, that's the Kenmore Fault. And you see the purple changes colour slightly there. That is back on Narrenly Fernvale. That's the end of the Brisbane phyllite. I'll do a video on the Kenmore Fault because it's really interesting, and I just, usual, haven't gotten to it. So that's our geology. Not uncommon for Brisbane. Those rhyolitic dikes are everywhere. We'll have a good look at those in a minute. I've found some reasonable maps of that. What we've got here is our good old LiDAR. Now, the LiDAR is rather interesting because it exposes, because of the houses and the trees, and it's a leafy suburb. Here we have the mine site. There you can see the open cut pit. You can see the university buildings and whatever. They show up on the LiDAR. One thing that shows up on this that didn't show up on anything else is the old wharf, the old loading area, which is there. In the LiDAR you can see it quite clearly, and you can't see that on anything else. You can't even see it if you go there. It's really weird, but anyway, that's it. And yeah, I love this LiDAR. It's just a great image, and I just thought I'd put a ring on Indooroopilly Shopping Town for you so you know where it is. Give you a bit of context. I'm not sure why the river's coming up like that, but sometimes LiDAR works in mysterious ways. It's wonders to behold. So what we've got next, which is a pretty awesome map actually, is these are the rhyolitic dikes in the Indooroopilly intrusion zone. So we'll just zoom down here to where the mine is. As you can see, they wrap right around that ore body. And if they go back into the ground at about 45 degrees to the east, so you can see it's all rhyolitic contact zones there. And obviously geothermal fluids have got in there containing minerals over the years and just soaked the ore body. When we say over the years, I suppose we should put this in some form of context for you as well. So we're going to have to zoom up on this a little because this all happens in a fairly, well, not really narrow, it's 100 million years, but a piece of the Earth's history. So what we've got here, this is about the age of the Brisbane phyllite and the Narrandley fernvale. So we're down, 350 to 380 million years. What we've got up here, this is the Enoggera granite and the Brisbane tuff. And right in the middle there, we have the suspected age of those rhyolitic intrusions. So, it's a few million years apart. So what we've got here is a bigger map of Brisbane with the intrusions in it, but what's on here is all of the other dikes in Brisbane. You can see the Indooroopilly map there, but look at all of those little lines are rhyolitic dikes. They're everywhere. Milton, right up into Red Hill. You can see the Enoggera granite there. Now, as we pull back, you'll be able to see the fact we've got the Narrandley Fernvale Shale on both sides. The North Pine Fault or the Normanby Fault at the top and the Kenmore Fault at the bottom there. So we will do some more on the Kenmore Fault. Here's a map of the ore body. So up the top on the right hand side there you've got the top of Finney Hill and the ore body is there. The bit that's in green hash, that was the actual ore body. Here's a three-dimensional map of the mine. I don't even pretend to understand mine diagrams, but my God, I did not realise all that was under the ground. It's all in feet. I'll give you a clue, about 230 feet's about 70 metres, so it's just a fair way down. And the top of those shafts at the top of the hill, that shaft coming in isn't. So a few things about the Indooroopilly mine that I've heard over the years that are just a load of rubbish. One, I heard that the reason it stopped operating was because after World War I, the demand for lead dropped, strangely enough, so the price fell out of it and they just couldn't be economical anymore. That's a load of bullshit. The reason they stopped mining was they'd mined the entire ore body out. It was gone. They didn't start mining till after World War I. They started a year after World War I finished. And they finished in 1929. Now, they might not have known World War II was coming, but geez, they'd hung on. I'm sure the price of lead would have gone up. But it's just the way it is. It was a small ore body. That zinc ore body that's marked on another diagram has not been mined. They've never touched it. They just sampled it out. But the university has this mine there now, training our mining engineers, which is fantastic. We need mining engineers. After all, Australia is a mine with a tourist resort around the outside and a few farms in the middle. So that's what we are. So I'll sign off now, and I've just about finished the second of the Kedron Brook videos, so hopefully we'll have that out this week as well. Keep rocking. T-Rock's out.